Should be live on YouTube in a second.
So we need a new link.
Yep.
Yes, I see it live on YouTube. Perfect. So we use this link and we copy it. I see it live. Shut up. I think we're ready to start.
Hi everybody, my name is Scott Hillier. I'm an independent film director and president of ECU, the European Independent Film Festival, as well as president of the All Asian Independent Film Festival, which will be coming up shortly in September in Manila in the Philippines. So this is our first ECU Friday Live since the festival that I've been hosting. The very clever staff have been hosting them ever since. But I wanted to speak today about something that I read in the New York Times. I read the New York Times every day, and it's great because it's talking about a very well-known in the industry grip. Now, what the hell is a grip? Most people ask. And I had one of my people today ask me, what does it take to be a good gripper? Well, hopefully over the next little while, we'll find out, because a grip is one of the unsung heroes of the film industry. On the red carpet in Cannes, you see the directors and the actors and the actresses, and it's all glitz and glamour. But without a grip, and a good grip, none of that would exist. And inside the industry, we know that, and we treasure and convert them because they're amazing. There's also a bit of confusion between a grip and a gaffer. Why do I know that? Because I, for many years, confused them and had no idea what the heck I was talking about. Let me talk about, I'll get a quote up about a grip. A grip is a vital member of the film, television, and photography production crews. Their primary responsibility is to support the camera and lighting departments by setting up and operating equipment related to camera support, movement, and rigging. Grips are skilled technicians who work closely with the director of photography and gaffer to implement the desired visual style and achieve smooth camera movements. What does that mean? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that further on, because the New York Times article talked about Sanjay Sami, who's just finished working on it. They always finished a long time ago, but in the recently released film Asteroid City, which we're going to have a little look at. We can't give you too much away about it because it's brand new and there will be some spoilers in there. But I just want to show a little bit of work from Sanjay's work for a second. Unfortunately, in this little clip, that's all we've got is movement. But movement, as he says, helps convey emotions. And it also has to be done very damned well, because any jerking movement and whatever takes it away. You can use a camera and shake it and jerk it around and do whatever, should you wish, for a certain amount of emotion and conveying that thing. But good grip work takes a lot of effort. I'm just going to jump back into a gaffer role, just because I should, because grips are important, but so are gaffers. Grips grip things, i.e. that's why they're called grips. Dollies, Steadicam, camera movements. A gaffer is much more about lighting. In French, they call them electro, because it has to do with electricity. We'll call them gaffers. I don't really know where the gaffer thing came from, and one of my clever staff will come up with the answer to that before we end the podcast. But a gaffer works closely with the DP. I know, and my gaffer is my go-to person at every minute or thing. They just always got their eye on you, and they're always 3 steps ahead of you, putting up lights at the right time. The gaffer's role is crucial in creating the right mood and ambience through effective lighting techniques and working in conjunction with the DP, because the DP actually strategizes and figures out what lighting is needed, and then the gaffer will go in and do it. But let's get back to these grips. Sanjay couldn't join us. He very, very nicely answered our emails as we reached out to him. He's obviously too busy. He's made more than 70 things different, so he's a busy guy. But we'd love to get him in the podcast at some stage. But a film that I enjoyed immensely was Darjeeling Express, and there's a little bit about what he was talking about with that, because Carousel Express was a and this tracking shot here was amazing, because they're in obviously a very tiny space, moving and whatever. And he says that it's in the article, it's that he impressed Anderson by devising a way to fit a dolly into a narrow old rail cars that they used as a set, and he mounted a hidden track in the train's ceiling. So to be a grip, you need to be innovative and quite clever, and to be able to come up with these things, because directors are directors and they have a vision, and often that vision is bizarre and weird, but a grip has to make sure that he can do that. We're gonna stick with Sanjay's work here, and we're gonna have a look at the French Dispatch. Again, we're concentrating on the Wes Anderson film here. But this is a fabulous
exemplar of the mode of cuisine known as gastronomie gendarmerie.
It's a 70-second walk and talk, keeping up with the monologue, with the dolly speeding up and slowing down. You just saw this then that the dolly went sideways and then very quickly backwards, and as smooth as anything.
With the non-dominant hand only, the other being reserved for firearms and paperwork.
It's an exceptional bit of work, and then, again, it was in the article, and I advise everybody to read it. It's in the New York Times Culture section. But by the time that they got all the actors doing the right thing and whatever, they had to take 20 months. And I love working on feature films, and it's very good, but by the time you get to the 25th day, everyone's a bit tired and whatever. So, but again, great work. We're going to keep going. As we get on to this a little bit later, we're going to ask some of the Apple staff to come up with some questions they're going to ask to me. I'm not a grip or a gaffer, but just dealing with this. But now we're going to have a look at it's the French Dispatch. That's on a bike. And in this scene, Owen Wilson's character has to stop and start all at the same time. So Sanjay actually conducted a system involving a bungee cord anchored to a truck that could spring the camera forward at the right velocity instantly. I'm a surfer, so I use bungee cords a lot to keep my surfboard on the roof of the car, and I know they're not always the most predictable thing in the world, so he obviously did a really, really good job about that. Moving on again to a fabulous film, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and the carousel scene. And in this scene, I'll quote from the article. I usually, Wes Anderson didn't want a real ride because it wouldn't have suited his concept. So they built a circular track with a pie-shaped platform atop it, and another track atop of that was capped by a skateboard-style dolly for the Carousel Horse. Once it rolled into the frame and the actress hopped on, 2 off-camera grips clamped it down. And then we started pushing the whole pie-shaped wooden piece around the track, Sammy says, or Sanjay says. The moment barely lasts 40 seconds, but in his mind it stands out because it was the beginning of something more complex and a great way to the way that he started doing things. And I think that's the thing about feature films, is that you will spend hours and hours and hours in something that's going to be 40 seconds long, but it obviously contributed a lot to the vision of the film that Wes had. Now we're going to jump off from Wes Anderson and Sanjay now, and we're going to talk about one of the most famous tracking shots done by a Steadicam operator, and there would have been grips involved in all of this. But this is just an astounding Goodfellas, Martin Scorsese. And this is just so beautifully lit, choreographed. This is work. Because, behind them there's 20 people for sure. And talking about Steadicam, Sanjay talked about, that they were getting up to 45 kilos, 50 kilos running around, doing the Steadicam work in all of Wes Anderson's films. So it's a great amount of physical work that goes into it. And again, you up and coming Steadicam operators, directors, grips. This is just the concept. As we watch this fabulous scene, I'm going to go back and I'm just going to keep talking about Sanjay, because he says that there's a lot of responsibility in the work that he does, because we are the viewer's eyes. We're moving the emotion and the story more than just moving the camera. And I think that's an amazing thing, because making feature film is such a collaborative effort. Not just the director's vision and the camera pointing the lens and the actors and actresses doing the right stuff and playing the right thing. It's a huge collaborative effort. And I have to say, for grips to be acknowledged in the New York Times in this way, I think it was amazing, because he's talking about the fact that the responsibility of bringing the viewer's eyes is something that obviously gets him going and bringing these great stories to the screen. Wes Anderson says sometimes the crazier the method, the happier he is. And I guess that's what it is. And I'm hoping that this will be of interest to people who don't know anything about grips, and if you're a filmmaker, you will need them in life, that's for sure. But is there a career path into being a grip? His career path, he was an underwater diver for oil rigs, and which is obviously deep physical work, and he was a rugby player, so the physicality comes from that. But I think like any of these things, it's just getting, you've got a random opportunity when somebody would strike, and they said, okay, well, can you do this? And he did it, and hasn't stopped. I believe that he's made 70 feature films now. So, when you start, you don't sorry. So he's done, he says, I've done more than 80 feature films, and the ones that I'm most proud of are the ones that I've done with Wes. Because it's just work that, for me, as a director, it doesn't exist in some of this work. and that's amazing. I've got one last quote that I'm going to use later on afterwards, but I wanted to open up the thought to Rodrigo, who's the man of righteousness and goodness. Where I'm going to conduct a little question and answer session. Again, we don't have any grips on here, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions related to the grip world, just having worked with some of them. Very good ones. Yeah. That's over to Rodrigo, the man in Mexico.
So the first question is going to be mine. As a director, you have a different perspective of what grips should do. For you, which do you think is the biggest challenge for grips when working with a film director such as yourself?
I think I've got one. He's called Scott, which obviously confused things on set. But it's the fact that they're inside your head, and you've been in there early. You've shared, and again, as directors, people who want to be directors here, start sharing with your key people very early on their ideas and concepts, because you don't want to be on set and say, okay, I want an 80-meter dolly shot along here to do this. They're going to have to pre-plan it and thought about it. And I think, what you don't want is you don't want to grip who's the kind of person that drives into a roundabout and then starts looking for which exit is going to be going. You want somebody who's already figured out 3 miles before the roundabout where they're going to go. So they have to be really forward thinking, but also be in sync with what you're thinking. I think that's the most important.
Now Ryan has a question.
Hi, I was wondering that for grips, it's such like an important role on a film set. Why do you think they receive such little or like no recognition at all?
That's this crazy industry we work in. But what you do see is the respect from everybody on set, and I think respect from your peers is one of the most crucial things, and something that should make you feel warm and fuzzy inside when you do this, because the grip is one of the kings on set. When they're on set, you've got the directors and you've got the actors and actors. But when the grip starts walking down and moving stuff, everybody moves out of his way, because he's one of the ones. And again, I'm all for it, which is why we're doing this podcast. I think that we should shine as much light as we can on these really, really important people on set.
Now Emily has a question too.
Hi. So out of the clips that we watched, what one of them was your personal favorite and why?
I have to go to the Goodfellas clip, just because I just think it's one of the most amazing things ever known to mankind in the world of cinema, just because of the sheer complexity of it. And again, talking about you guys can try and recreate that type of stuff. It's just, it's a case of doing this. But I think that would be it. But also, if I was to go back to the Darjeeling Express, which I loved as a film as well, obviously the director was trying to get a very, very tight, claustrophobic, like old-fashioned train thing. But he still had to tell a visual story. So the idea that there was tracking involved and tracks and dollying up there, where I just find it astounding that, so he actually obviously went to Sanjay and said, okay, well, this is the what needs to happen, and figure that out. I want this to look, and he just innovated and built stuff, and and he's obviously a great engineering brain. But I think that's also a great thing. And the dolly shot I liked, except I did see an edit in there, which it just took a little bit away from the dolly through the police station.
Our next question comes from Cecily.
Rodrigo, it's all yours.
Yeah, our next question is from Cecily. She's on the screen now.
I think just like any of these things, it's just enthusiasm. I work on a lot of sets, and I've seen a lot of people work When I work on a set, I hate ever raising my voice and saying, "Hey, do this, do this, do this." I actually refuse to do that. I just say to everyone in the crew, "I'll raise my hand like this," and I've got a very, very good assistant. Rodrigo's not an assistant; he's a producer, but he also thinks the same thing. That I'll raise my hand on set, and my Cambodian assistant Alex, he will start running, and that's the type of people you need. And so I think that way you can move into a gap or grip deep or whatever, but it just has to be sheer enthusiasm and desire to do things. Because the reward is amazing, because at the end of the day, when you look at the pictures and you're doing the right thing, it's outstanding. But that doesn't happen the first time. It happens after 25 takes. So you have to be keen, enthusiastic, dedicated. And that's definitely what I look for. But the raise of the hand in the running, my goodness, when Alex does that, and Margot, who was before him, did the same thing. You raise your hand and point, and they're running there. That's, to me, that's a great person on set anyway. That's going to be a great grip.
And our last question comes from Ben and Yasmin.
So in the article, he says that working for Wes Anderson is sort of exhausting but rewarding. Which directors do you think would be more difficult to work for than Wes Anderson? I could think of maybe Sam Mendes, having seen 1917.
Right, as a director, I can't comment on their things, but I have to say, I worked with Tom Cruise once, and I think as an actor in a film, he basically more or less directs all the Mission Impossibles. I think to work with him would have to be the most exhilarating, exhausting, challenging experience ever, which is why they're so soldered together, because what he asks is not only just creatively impossible, but often physically impossible. And I think, because it was a grip that designed the camera to stay on the plane as he was hanging off the edge of the plane. So all of a sudden, you imagine being in a meeting, and all of a sudden Tom Cruise comes and says, "Okay, I'll be hanging off this C-130 aeroplane today, and I don't want the camera to fall out and hit you in the head." So, okay, I think that that would be a tricky business. That's for sure.
And those are all the questions we have.
Okay. Well, again, this is a short and sharp, and getting back in this thing like every Friday night. We do it because we want it to be entertaining, hopefully informative. Because that's, I learned a bucket load out of this article. And I'm going to wrap this up quickly, and I'm going to thank very much the ECU and All Asian Independent Film Festival for their help every single day. They're in here day and night. Well, no, they're not, but they're in here during the day and race out like elephants searching for water to drink at 5 o'clock every night. But it's great to have them around, nice young people, learning things, anything that we can do to help them move forward and learn things is great. I just shot and directed a little thing for Netflix behind the scenes of the animated film Miraculous, which is, I believe, in cinemas now, but coming out on Netflix on the 28th of July. It was a great thing to be part of, because very creative team. They've been working on it for 5 years. It was fabulous. We interviewed a couple of the animators, and one was the background animator, one was the character animator. And one of the questions that I was asked to ask him was, what's your advice to becoming an animator? And I'm very quiet spoken guy, and he did some amazing drawings for us just off the cuff. But he just said, curiosity is what is going to make you a very good filmmaker, storyteller, animated clip. And he said, be open to everything. Read books, go to the theatre, listen to music, go to films, just do a lot of stuff. Be open to a lot of stuff. He said, this thing here is going to kill you. It doesn't make you creative. And that's what the advice that I think that I'd like to share with all of the ECU and All Asian stuff, and just anybody else listening that wants to become a grandpa, gas, or a filmmaker, or a costume designer. And be open to everything. Because, that's the reason we're talking about this, is because I read a very good newspaper every single day. And listen to a lot of the BBC websites. And I'm hoping that in your quest to become a good filmmaker or a good storyteller, you do this. So again, many thanks for joining in. It's been nice and short and with Sanjay, but maybe he will come back at another time. But if there are any things that you would like us to discuss or make you follow, drop us a line. And our socials are very well managed and very well read. And drop us a line and we'll do our very best to do it. So again, thank you very much, Rodrigo, for helping organize this from many miles away from Paris. And then we're going to write this into all of the stuff. Have a great weekend, everybody. And we'll see you again soon.